afternoon and welcome to day 5 of How to Grow Your Donor Base in 20 Days. We are here in Funding for Good's backyard and I'm burning firewood right now. It's been a beautiful day with low humidity, and so I'm out here enjoying the afternoon with the dogs. Thought I would come to you from a new location to give you something different to look at than my front porch. Day 5, I want to talk to you about what I feel is one of the most important parts of all donor relations and fundraising, and that is making personal thank you phone calls. Every single donor that makes a gift to you should be called. They should be thanked regardless of the size of their gift. Sometimes I talk with staff, whether they are directors of departments or development staff who maybe are new or have been in the field for a while but have never practiced this concept, and they don't understand why they should have to call a $5 donor just like they would have to call a $500 or a $5,000 donor. And the reason is pretty simple. The $5 that someone gives you may be all they have to give. That might have been a huge gift for them. And the person that gives you $500 or $5,000, it really might not be a lot for them. It might be a drop in the bucket. They might be giving it so they can get a tax write-off. They might be giving it because they have to give away so much money a year. And it could be just the opposite. Someone might give you $5 because they just want to get you off their back and they want you to stop asking them. And someone else might give you $5,000 because they really want to make a huge impact and that is all that they have to give. Both of those deserve a thank you phone call. If you can't bother to thank someone, why should they bother to give again? And actually know a lot of individuals who you might consider high wealth individuals or foundations or family foundations who make a gift to an organization that is somewhat small in their eyes. Maybe it's a $50 gift, maybe it's a $500 gift, but they make that small gift initially because they want to see how you're going to steward it. They want to see how you're going to use it and how you're going to communicate with them your thanks, your gratefulness, your gratitude, and the impact it's had on your organization. And for people who don't do that the right way, or the way that that individual or family foundation or foundation wants that to happen, they may not ever make a future gift. I work and have worked for over 20 years with lots and lots of donors. I've had tons of personal conversations with them, and they have told me this. So I'm not making it up, and it's not that I've out there read it somewhere, but I know it from personal experience. I know lots of consultants who do little projects every year where they'll send 20 random gifts out at a particular time of year, and they record how it's been recognized from organizations. The majority of the time, they never get an acknowledgement. And if they do, a lot of the times it's a generic letter. I know from personal experience as a donor that a thank you phone call is something that most people don't do and is appreciated. It doesn't take but a second, and I'll tell you a few tricks to make it happen. Sometimes people in my classes will say to me that they don't have time to make thank you phone calls for all the gifts that they're getting. And if that's the case for you, this is what I say to them in my class: great problem to have. Glad you have that problem. If you don't make thank you phone calls and you're not thanking people in the right way, you won't have that problem for long, because people will stop giving to you. You might get new donors and continue to have that same cycle of, oh, we have a lot of donors, but they probably won't be the same donors for long. Your donor retention rate will drop, and you will constantly be working to get new donors into your organization, which is not what you want to do. You want to retain the donors you have and build on your donor base, which is what we're talking about here. How do you increase your donor base? Not how do you constantly find new donors to replace the ones that you've lost because you haven't been doing what you need to do to keep them. Here's a couple of tricks that might help you in the time management piece of thanking donors if you have lots and lots of them, or if you're very short-staffed, maybe you're a small shop, maybe you're a one-person shop, and you feel like you need some resources to do all the things you need to do and do them with excellence, as one of my previous clients used to say, which I love. 1, make your thank you phone calls during lunch. Between the hours of 11 and 1 o'clock, a majority of people won't answer their phone because they're either engaged in a meeting, they are out to lunch, they're eating lunch, they're talking with people in their family, whatever that happens to be. A lot of people will not answer the phone during lunch. All you're calling to do is say thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution to our organization. It's going to help us do X, Y, and Z. If they gave to a particular program or project, thank them for giving to that program or project. Let them know a little bit about how their gift will help or is going to meet a need, and then wish them a happy day or whatever season it is. Thank you so much for your gift. We hope you and your family have wonderful holidays. We look forward to touching base with you again at the beginning of the year. Boom. That's it. Does not have to be long. Doesn't have to be you having a one-on-one conversation for 30 minutes with someone. Now, if someone calls you and gives you a $5,000 gift, you might want to schedule that during a time when you know you could talk with them, because you want to build a relationship with that person and it's worth your time to spend 30 minutes on the phone with them. Additionally, you can schedule time with volunteers or board members, have a couple of scripts written, have your donors printed out on Excel sheets with their phone numbers, not the amounts that they've given, because your volunteers don't need that information. And then set up a time again during lunch, provide box lunches to your volunteers, have everyone come in with their cell phone fully charged, maybe do it somewhere where there's a lot of rooms available, a school, a church, somewhere you can get space and everyone can spread out and have their own room. And then have everybody make 10 or 15 phone calls. I sat with a client one time, there were 11 volunteers, and we made almost 400 calls in the course of 2 hours during lunch to say thank you from an event, because a lot of people made gifts during that event. Extremely productive. People were thrilled to get those calls. We've done the same thing with lab buns. So you get together, you're making calls, thanking people for the gifts they've given in the past, letting them know what you're doing now, and figuring out a way to get them re-engaged, whether it's in person, at an event, on your website, or making a gift, and then you get off the phone. Lots of money comes in from those kind of call-a-thons, phone-a-thons, whatever you want to call them. Those are two ways to get people touched quickly when you don't have a lot of time yourself as a development director. But the other thing I will tell you as a development director that will allow you to do this and be a little more effective is don't wait to do it till the end of the year. Make phone calls as gifts come in. People need to be thanked in a very timely manner. 48 hours, as long as it's during the business week, is my rule of thumb. And Marie, who works with us a lot, and you've probably seen her before, she says, don't bank until you thank. So don't put that deposit in the bank until you have thanked the donor that gave it to you. So those are a couple of things. The other thing is set aside some development time for yourself every week, the same time, the same days. It can be 2 hours on Tuesday and Thursday. It can be 2 hours on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It can be whatever amount of time you need to be dedicated to sitting behind your desk and responding to emails, making thank you phone calls, doing research in your database, printing off reports, checking your metrics, whatever those things are. Part of that time needs to be making thank you phone calls. Print your reports from the week, see who has given you gifts, make the phone calls. The only thing I encourage you to know is when you set development time for yourself, do not reschedule it unless it is important enough that you would reschedule a board meeting for it. So if someone calls you and wants to have a meeting, if someone calls and invites you to speak at an event, if someone calls and wants to come take a tour of your facility, whatever it is, if it is not important enough that you would cancel a board meeting to do it, you reschedule that for a different time. Don't do it during your development time. That time needs to be sacred, and that is what you do during that time. That's how you get your job done. Because crises come up all the time. People are constantly wanting to have meetings. People are always wanting your time. So you have to make your development time a priority for you, or no one else will. If you really want to meet with someone and you talk to them and they say, you know, I really can't meet today, but I could probably meet with you tomorrow or next Tuesday. If you really want to meet with that person, you're going to say, oh, I can work that into my schedule. That's going to be great. I'd love to meet with you. So take a breath and know that if someone really wants to meet with you, they will also be open to you saying, that's really not a great time for me, but these are the times I do have available. And you need to respect your own development time and the goals and objectives you have for your position and achieving them by saying that to people. So I encourage you on day 5 of how to increase your donor base in 20 days to be making thank you phone calls to all donors. Additionally, quick side note, you don't have to call every donor that gives to you multiple times a year every time they make a gift. If I am scheduled to make a monthly donation to you, call me the first time I make a donation for the month and thank me, and maybe pick another time during the year as one of my 7 donor touches, which we talked about in yesterday's video, to call me and continue to thank me for my continued support if I'm making my gifts on time and etc. But you don't have to call me every month. Just like you don't have to send me a handwritten thank you letter every month or a generic printed letter every month just because you received a gift from me. That's overkill and it annoys donors. Take that, think about it, apply it to the other days that we've already talked about, and we will see you on Monday for day 6. Hope you have a great week. Bye.